hopefully the shortest video of the bunch. Group research design just has a lot of, again, terminology and concepts that are foundational. And so we are spending a bit of time here. It's why you have 2 weeks with this. And so really spend some time kind of digesting this information. Threats too, so validity. This is internal and external validity of kind of the whole study of the design. We're going to get into measurement, reliability, and validity. That's different, but validity is also a part around the design. So we're going to spend some time thinking through that. This starts on page 218 of your text. So when we think about internal validity, we're talking about the confidence we have that the change in the dependent variable is a result of the independent variable. So as we've tried to make some decisions through the process of, we've asked our questions, we've now got our design. Is it an experimental design? Is it a quasi-experimental design? We're making decisions there to try and help this internal validity concept, right? So you can see here on the screen, random assignment and control groups can help with at least these first 6 sort of threats to internal validity. Through that, just by random, we're just saying these groups are equivalent in some way, so that the change, again, in that DV is a result of the IV. You can go through in your book and look at some of these pieces, but let's just take testing effects, right? So is there something that changes just in the fact that we do a pre and a post? Something like that, right? So familiarity with the test, because let's say it's this, mass scale for mindfulness. Do I learn something about it? Do I even do something on my own in the interim that changes the way that I take the mass at time 2 than I did at time 1? So that could be a piece of our observation at time 2 that's outside of simply taking the course, right? Instrumentation. So unintended changes in the way that it's measured over time. There could be problems with measurement. Maybe we gave observation 1 in a quiet room, and maybe there's something with instrumentation at time 2, how we observed that. Maybe it was a less quiet, or maybe it was in the classroom, and time 1 it was in a different location. So just even the way that we're giving the instrument could change. So we want to try and minimize some of that if we can. So how can we make observation 1 as similar to observation 2, but like testing effects we can't change. I guess we could change the order of the questions, just trying to think through this a minute, that might help instead of just the exact same way, but that might change the actually reliability and validity of the instrument itself, right? So we're starting to see the complexity here. So you can see, experimental mortality sounds really, really bad. That's dropping out. So if a student drops the course, our participants leave our program, something happens, so that can have that internal validity threat. Resentful demoralization also sounds pretty horrible, and maybe it is, but it's a reaction to being part of a control group. And so is there something in those observations that have a different effect? And so maybe outcome 2 in our control group, that observations, they found out they weren't in the treatment group and they're mad, angry, why not me? So again, taking the slide, maybe making some notes around this, but these are things that just happen. Sometimes we can control them, sometimes we can't. Maturation, people just get older, they get better, things happen, especially if we're looking at over time. Say my course, that's 16 weeks. So there's some things we can control, some things we can't, but we've got to understand these concepts. So when we're making claims at the end, we understand that maturation might have happened. That might be a limitation We understand these things and we're trying to address our internal validity. So external validity, this is what we think about and talk about, like degree of generalizability. Can I take what I've done here and make claims about all social work students? Can I do restorative justice here in this high school and then say something about all high schools, like taking that up, right? So some threats, again, going back to your book, this is starting on 220. So the threats to our external validity, what we can sort of say at the end of the day, are reactivity, researcher bias, and multiple treatment interference. And so let's just talk about researcher bias. Maybe we see what we want to see. And so we might interpret findings towards any sort of change, towards the positive, towards our intervention. And so that would be a threat, right, to this external generalizability. And so thinking through that. Replication is one of the ways that we can build knowledge base. So doing it maybe time and time again, if we can get those results consistently, that's reliability. So that's over and over and over, we're seeing this. So restorative justice works, right? Not just because we want to see it, but because it's happening. So thinking through that. And again, just kind of pointing you to the end of your text on page 221. They really do a nice job of just sort of summarizing the limitations we have as social and human researchers. It's hard. We're complex. It's hard to say that cause and effect. I like that they were like the right design, right? This right design is a research design that will do the best job of answering our questions while dealing with the contextual complexities of the environment. So keep reading, keep making these connections. You've now explored group research designs.